Hi and welcome to Dee Dee's Bayou Kitchen. Today we're going to make my favorite breakfast, grits. Now I grew up in Louisiana and my mom and my grandmother made the best grits and I love them. It is my favorite thing to eat. I can eat it morning, noon, and night. It doesn't matter. However, there are some people who say they don't like grits and I'm thinking it has to do with they've had some bad grits. I've had some bad grits. But today, I'm going to teach you how to make the best grits you've ever made and eaten. Now, the first thing we're going to do is rinse the grits because that's something that my grandmother did. I didn't question it. And the only thing I could think of is just to wash the initial residue off the grits. But what I have here are grits, the milk, water, and salt. These are the first few ingredients that we're going to put in the grits, although there are others. We're going to add those later. But for now, this is what we're using. And let's get it and rinse the grits. Let's go. So I have a half cup of grits. And I'm just going to rinse them off a few times. Just run some water through it. Now, you can see a few particles come to the top of the grits. And I think that's what my grandmother was rinsing off. I'm gonna do this twice, 2 more times. One more time. And I also use cold water. That's it. Now it's time to cook. I have one tip. You may want to use a non-stick pot because I think it helps a lot with cleanup. So I'm going to start with the ingredients. I have 1.5 cups of water. I'll add that to the grits. I have 1.25 cups of milk. And I'm using a teaspoon of salt, but you have the option of reducing the salt. I will start off with maybe a 1/2 teaspoon because there's some other ingredients. So I will start with a 1/2 teaspoon first. And it's all up to your taste. Everyone has their own taste. What may be too salty to me may not be salty enough for you. So my suggestion is start off with a 1/2 teaspoon and then you can add more salt if you need to. So I'm stirring this up. Now, it's very critical. The first 10 minutes you're cooking grits is to every 2 minutes to watch it because that's when the grits start forming together and they can stick together and it'll be better if you stir it. I mean, I stir mine often, so I think it's best the first 10 minutes is that you watch it every 2 minutes so that you can stir it. Now I'm going to put the top on it. I'm using this electric cooktop. I'm used to gas, but I'm using this. I'm going to put it on medium just to bring it to a boil, but then I would turn it down because I don't want it to burn and I don't want it to boil over on this pot. So we're going to let it come to a boil and then we're going to keep stirring it for the first 10 minutes. So I'm also going to set the timer because in the first 10 minutes, that's when the grits actually starts forming. Also, you want to keep the top on it so that the liquid doesn't evaporate. At some point, if you have too much liquid in your grits toward the end, after 25 minutes, then you would take the top off to let some of the water evaporate. But for now, we want to cook the grits with the top, and if it's too much liquid, then you would take it off. Okay? The grits have been cooking 7 minutes. Now they're starting to boil. And I have them on medium. So 10 minutes has expired, but I will continue to keep a timer on it, put another 10 minutes on it, and just continue to monitor and stir it periodically. So while the grits are cooking, I am going to start cutting the edges off of this cheese. This Gouda cheese, smoked Gouda, has these little edges, and to me, it's kind of rough. So I don't like to put it in the grits. I prefer to cut it off before I put it in the grits. I did that the first time I bought it, and I didn't like it. So I'm just cutting the edges off, and then we will proceed with adding the Gouda cheese to the grits. Just want to get these edges off. First time, I didn't know. Now I know. So you know, when you know better, you do better. So I'm doing better. So I want you to know, if you use the Gouda cheese, which is smoked Gouda, then cut the edges off so that you don't have this rough edges in your grits, and you won't have those little specks either. So that's it. Just cut them off. I've let them cook for 20 minutes. Turn this off. We're going to look at them, and they are getting thick like I like it. I have it on low because, like I said, they will boil over, and you definitely don't want to get burned with grits because they are hot. I don't know if you remember the movie with Tyler Perry. Medea told, I think it was her niece or granddaughter, Blair Underwood was abusing her. So she told her to cook a pot of grits. And if he put his hands on her, I'm not about abuse. I'm just saying that's what Medea told her to do. Put on a pot of grits and put it on him. And she did. So I don't advocate that. I'm just saying grits are hot and they will burn you. So please be careful. I'm going to put the top back on them and let them continue to cook. And when they get a little thicker, then I'm going to add the butter. So when I say wash them, because they will boil over, you see how they're boiling? So please be careful and not let it boil over. Okay, the grits are ready for the butter. Like I said, be careful when you remove the top because they pop and they will burn you. Let me stir these up a little bit to calm them down. Now you see they're nice and thick. And I'm going to add, I'm using a half a teaspoon of butter, but you can use as much as you like. I cook it with butter, and then most people add butter to their grits when they get ready to eat it. So I add a half a teaspoon, but you can put a teaspoon if you like. I'm gonna let that cook about 5 more minutes. And now I'm going to add the smoked Gouda cheese. Now I use salted butter. So when you cook your grits, I recommend you taste them if you need to add additional salt, but wait until you put the butter in, let it cook 5 minutes, then add your smoked Gouda. After that, if you need additional salt, then add the salt then. We're gonna put in the smoked Gouda, stir that up, and we will let this cook 5 more minutes just to get the cheese to melt throughout the grits. I use 2 slices, but it's up to you. You can use 1, you can use 2, 3, whatever you like. And after this, then it's my last ingredient. Now the grits are done, so let's taste it and see if I need to add a little more salt because we have 1 more ingredient to add to it. So let me just do a little taste and see if I need to. And like I said before, everybody's taste is different. What may be salty to me may not be salty to you. and vice versa. So I recommend that you taste them before you serve them to see if they have enough salt for you. We're gonna add this last ingredient. I'm gonna let this cool off so that it doesn't burn me, and I'll decide if I need to add a little more salt to it. So let's see. It's not bad. I could can and cannot, because if I eat this with bacon, it has salt in it, so it's good enough for me. But you taste yours, and if you need to add some salt, then you add some salt. Now for the last ingredient. So the last thing we're going to add is heavy whipping cream. They're already creamy, but the heavy whipping cream is going to really take it over the top to be really creamy. So we're going to add 1/4 cup of heavy cream to it, mix it up, and let it cook for 5 more minutes. And that's it. After that 5 minutes, you can serve your delicious, best grits you ever had in the world for you and your family. Trust me, you're going to love them. Stir this up and let it cook 5 more minutes. I'm gonna turn it up just a little bit. I don't want it to stick, and as you can see, like I recommend a non-stick pot. They didn't stick to the pot at all. So that's why I like these pots. So I'm going to let it cook for 5 more minutes, and bon appetit after that. Well, I hope you enjoy making and eating these grits as much as I do. Like I said earlier, you might need a little salt and you may not, but it's everyone's personal taste. I love them. I grew up eating them, and I hope that you enjoy eating them as much as I do. If you had a negative attitude about grits, I hope that this changes. I hope that this recipe will help you have a different outlook on grits. Grits are not bad. Grits are delicious. I will say this. I think you do need to add a little salt to make your grits taste good. Personally, I don't want to eat bland grits. I want my grits to have some salt on them and taste good. Let me know. Please make these grits and let me know what you think, because I love them. I love them. Bon appetit. Love them. You will too.